Good morning, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black folks. I hope that all is well on your side, in your world, and this day become a very good day for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful loved ones. My black brothers and sisters, in regards to the NASCAR participants, employees, white drivers, white crews, etc., etc. There were lots of white commutators, anchors, co-anchors, reporters that made a very big thing of the show of support of the only black NASCAR driver, Bubba Wallace, when he found a noose, Noose, hanging in his garage area, a stall where he hung out with his car that he drives in the races, I believe. Those white folks that showed support for the only black NASCAR driver, Bubba Wallace, did not show support for the root cause of why Bubba Wallace has been campaigning to eliminate Confederate flags, symbols, and statues from the NASCAR events. They were not supporting that, in my opinion. Certainly a noose is a very racist, and it indicates a history of white folks, racist white folks, using nooses to publicly hang, murder black folks, especially during the 100 years of Jim Crow. Those white folks and the NASCAR owners and officials are not attacking the root of the problem. You cannot eliminate systemic racism without attacking it at the root cause. You have to kill it at the root. And the root cause of systemic racism, institutional racism, discrimination, is something that have been socially engineered into 50% or maybe even 80% of the white folks right here on this plantation called America. Training is not going to solve the problem. Doing studies and research is what the racist white Republican Party wants to do. It's study and determine if chokeholds are killing black folks. Imagine that. They want to study if chokeholds are killing black folks. They want to study if white cops are killing unarmed black folks. And then after Bubba Wallace discovered the news. You call in white racists, if FBI agents. FBI agents are just as racist as any other white folks. The fix, F-I-X, was on. The white racist FBI agents determined that the rope that was found hanging in the garage area of Bubba Wallace was originally a rope that was used as a door pull, D-O-O-R-P-U-L-L. And they honed in on that to say that because the rope had been around that area and was really originally a door pull. This is what they are saying. They are alleging that. Therefore, it cannot be a hate crime because the rope was found to be a door pull that had been around that garage area for months prior to Bubba Wallace and his crew using that garage area as a maintenance service area to take care of the vehicle that he drives. The fix is in. Whenever black folks complain about racism, white folks, the white rage, the white fragility of white folks is enhanced. It is triggered, and they will devise a way to fix the situation that will exonerate white folks. They will fix the situation by discrediting black folks that are involved. So I would say to Bubba Wallace, the only NASCAR black driver, that the fix is in to try to discredit you, to try to blame you for complaining that a noose was hung in your garage area. For example, look at the murder, the public lynching of Trayvon Martin, when other white folks that are filled with racism, covert racism, are called in to investigate racist white folks that have shown their racism in an overt way, in an overt manner, then the fix will be in. They will devise a method to stop the black person from complaining, or they will try to discredit, criminalize the dead black victim and say that that dead black victim caused their own death. For example, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, even a 12-year-old black kid like Tamir Rice. The white folks, so-called investigators, when white folks are allowed to, when racist white folks are allowed to investigate other racist white folks, you get white folks exonerated. A good example of that is Donald Trump. You see how the impeachment of Donald Trump was made to be a debacle by other racist, criminal-minded white folks in the Republican Party, in the U.S. Senate, in the U.S. Congress, and even on the U.S. Supreme Court. When white folks are allowed to investigate other white folks, when racist white folks are allowed to investigate other white folks, you get the botched impeachment of Donald Trump. You get the exoneration of Michael Flynn. You get the exoneration of Roger Stone. You get the prison release of Paul Manafort. You get the exoneration of Darren Wilson, the racist white cop that publicly lynched Michael Brown. You get the exoneration of that racist white cop that hung Sandra Bland in her jail cell and his cohorts. You get the exoneration of 6 white cops that was complicit in the suffocation of Eric Garner. Do you remember about a month and a half ago, after the public lynching, the public murder of George Floyd, how the white Minnesota county coroner tried to blame George Floyd's so-called existing medical conditions for his own death, trying to say that George Floyd was not suffocated. This is what the white boy tried to create. He tried to create an atmosphere whereby white folks would aggregate their resistance and blame George Floyd for his own death. Bubba Wallace have been given notice that the fix has begun. The white racist FBI agents have initiated it by stating that it was not a hate crime because a door pull, a so-called door pull, was used as a noose, and that door pull had been in that garage area before Bubba Wallace and his crew began using that area. The fix is in to discredit Bubba Wallace and blame him for the resistance that he is getting from racist white folks all across this plantation called America. A perfect example of how white folks will exonerate white folks is the botched impeachment of Donald Trump, the botched sentencing, trial, conviction of Michael Flynn, the botched conviction of Roger Stone. White folks will exonerate white folks at every instant when they are given an opportunity to investigate racist white folks for crimes of hatred, for hate crimes, for public lynchings, for murdering unarmed black folks. Other racist white folks will devise methods to stymie, to stop the process, and even to blame black folks for their own death, blame black folks for complaining and telling the truth about racism, about what the Confederate flag, nooses, Confederate statues, and symbols mean to black folks. All of those white racist Southern generals were traitors. But other white folks, in erecting all of those statues in their honor, was on a mission to eradicate, to whitewash the fact that those Southern generals were traitors and they were all losers. That's one of the intentions of the Confederate flag. Those Confederate statues of those white Southern Civil War generals / traitors. It was a contrived effort decades, scores of years ago, to whitewash the fact that those Southern generals like Robert E. Lee and Frederick Bragg, just to name a couple, were traitors. They were losers, not heroes. They were traitors. They were losers, not heroes. And I hope that Mr. Bubba Wallace realized that those white racist FBI agents are creating an atmosphere of doubt, and they are trying to discredit you, Mr. Bubba Wallace. Beware. That's what I have on this one. Please go to the thrasherway.libsyn.com. There you will have access to all that I do.